100 Days of Gratitude, day 50, and today I'm grateful for embodying a new perspective. And I'm using that term very specifically, embodying. And I want to share a circumstance I've kind of been going through the last, almost 2 weeks now, where I've kind of been giving myself some self-talk around it. And the difference between kind of that surface level, like, oh, it's okay, to a full, like, no, it's actually okay. When you embody that new perspective, it is a felt experience. So as you know, the last couple of weeks, it's been a really interesting unveiling in the financial sector with banks, literally some going under, getting rescued, this threat of is the collapse here, right? It's actually quite legitimately an unknown. It's something that has been pointed out, called for. We know it's coming. We're at the end of an era, an unsustainable trajectory. And the biggest challenge is you just never know the timing. And on a very similar but different and equally related topic, I had some investments that had been thinking about selling for a while. And the way I had seen it, and still potentially do, because no one really knows, is this particular investment, which is basically a hedge, against some sort of financial collapse. It's some sort of a kind of a safety net. And I've been dabbling in it for a couple of years, been basically just holding a position, had a sizable amount of cash in it, and I had, over the last several months, been thinking about selling it. And I almost did, and then I didn't, because I had seen it go up again. And I was like, I'm not like fully convinced on this in the kind of short to medium term. Maybe I should get out. And I didn't. And then the thought came up again. And it was just one of those kind of synchronistic, like, I'm going to do it. And I did. And I felt really good for doing it. I was like, I could use this cash. And my ultimate case was that, okay, this is kind of a bear market rally. It's going up. It's kind of trading sideways. And ultimately convinced that, it'll go down. I'll be able to buy back in before, that long-term bull case of this is a hedge against the collapse of the financial system. It's a good safe haven asset, all the things. And so I sold it and felt really good. In fact, nice spot here. Sometimes that's a clue, like when I sold it for the right reasons. And then there was this bit of like, had gone up, and the very next day, went down. And I was like, ooh, like, who is Mr. Smart? Look at that. I might have just picked a top. And that's the clue of just like, when that bit of pride, that bit of gloating comes in. I did, as I was feeling so good for myself, there was that, like, just the back of the head, going like, we'll see, right? And sure enough, this whole thing with Silicon Valley Bank, which then caused some other banks to become unstable, like, total uncertainty. What is it, like 4 or 5 banks now, plus the huge Credit Suisse, and all this conversation of like, is this it? Has the fuse been lit, shall we say? Like, is it about to go off? And we still don't know the answer to that, right? Of course, the feds are coming in, backstopping it, trying to, prevent what they can. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So, but as a result, this investment that I sold immediately went straight back up again. Not only just beyond the point that I'd sold it at, but to this day, it is now 30% more. 30%. And I've been watching it, not obsessively, but curiously, And of course, I know there's nothing I could do now, right, in that regard. So there's two things at play. And this is where the kind of perspective and the self-talk and all that stuff comes in. So from one angle, there's like, damn, you could have had 30% more. And I get it. All the logic I tell myself, well, no one ever really knows. And, you know, so on and so forth. And then the other perspective is like, well, if this is it, I just, you know, sold the life raft, you know, in that sense. And of course, you know, the logic comes in, well, you know, of course, it's not that big, you know, position that I sold. It's certainly not a life raft, you know, so on and so forth. But despite all that, you know, the self-talk of like, well, you sold it for the reasons that you had, you know, just this and this and that, like, that self-talk is all surface level, right? Because it comes back up again and there's a visceral feeling. And I'll just preface, like, you know, this is not something I'm keeping myself awake at night about. I'm not depressed. It's not radically altering my life by any means. It's just those two factors of like, well, you could have had 30% more, right? And if you think about it, I'm not going to tell you the number, but, you know, in your world, if it's $100, $1,000, $10,000, $20,000, whatever, right? Like, that's significant. 30% more. You know, even on $1,000, that's 300. 10,000, that's 3,000. Like, it's a considerable amount. $3,000. And if this is, you know, the fuse going, taken off, yeah, I've just kind of sold the life raft or popped it or whatever, right? So give myself these like perspectives, the kind of the rational mind, like it's all good. And what I'm grateful for is that feeling, that sensation, because I've really been challenging myself of like, okay, you know, like intellectually, you know, really feeling it, really embodying it, that, you know what, this is okay. You know, like, again, I'm not losing sleep over this. I'm not super stressed, but there's an element of like angst, you know, like, oh, I made the wrong decision. Like, I could have had more. Maybe I let go of this like super valuable position that, sure, it's 30% now, but where's it going? Like, it could be 50, 100, you know, 10x, like, you just, all these unknowns. And, you know, just the other day when I finally like let it sink, let it anchor, there was a relief. And that's when I knew, you know, like I'd embodied the new perspective, you know, like it was a felt experience. I was like, you know, it's all good. Relax, let it go. It had landed, it anchored, I'd embodied it. I had taken on that new perspective, and it wasn't just surface level talk. So that's what I'm grateful for. And whatever you're going through or have gone through or may go through in the past, you know, it takes practice, is what I'm realizing. And in any of those situations where it's, could have, should have, maybe you're feeling guilt or remorse or any sort of energy, and, you know, rationally, logically, you try and tell yourself something else, one needs to kind of sink it down to that body level, to feel into it, for it to be true. And absolutely, maybe one just needs to, you know, talk it out, practice it, you know, but, you know, fake it till you make it kind of thing. But one needs to embody it to really, for it to be a truth, you know, like, yes, I can feel it, like just a relaxing. Okay. It's not the self-talk of like, oh, your anxiety, but you don't really believe yourself. It's like, yeah, you know what? I did that. I'm sticking with it. And all good. Letting go. So day 50, 100 days of gratitude. That's what I'm grateful for. The practice of embodying a new perspective. The fact that I did embody this thing that's kind of been bothering me the last 2 weeks. It may come up again, you know, like if that particular investment position, you know, goes another, keeps climbing, I may have an opportunity to practice again in terms of, hey, yes, that may be true over here, but look what I have here. And that's what I'm grateful for. So 100 days of gratitude. We're halfway, day 50.